There you go. So hey guys, now that I've got your attention, this is our latest version of the Strobe lure, and I just thought I'd take a few moments to show you a bunch of the prototypes, talk you through the journey that we've been through so far to get here. So I'll explain a bit more about that one in a minute, but sorry for being rude. My name's Wes, and together with my wife Carly, we started Glowbite. We actually started that back in 2017, and we started it with a Kickstarter. And since then, as you can see, all these products on the walls around me, our business has been going well. We've been supplying a lot of lures for catching inshore demersal species in the South Pacific. And thing is, for a long time, I've been thinking there's got to be potential for marlin as well. Before we get there, let me just show you, just in case you're interested. So this just happens to be an example of a lure that we use for deep drops for really big species in deep water, so dropping sort of between 200 and 400 meters. And on that one there, you can see it's got the same sort of water activated light on it. Don't know how well you can see that little blue light flashing in there. So a lot of our lures here have either got blue lights or lights that flash red, white, green. And they work incredibly well, but they're not massively bright. They work really well in deep water and waters around New Zealand and Australia, and no doubt they'll work well in other parts of the world as we get them out there as well. But let's talk today about the Strobe, about this new lure that we've been developing for marlin. And so I thought I could take you on a little bit of a journey here from some of our really early prototypes. So there's an example of a semi-clear one, and there's me playing around with different colours in the resin heads as well. These early lures I developed back a year and a half ago, back in July of 2024. I was wiring them all by hand, soldering everything up by hand, using a semi-flexible resin and a little pressure switch on it. This one's actually, one of the problems with these lures was the batteries had a limited life, so they'd go flat. We didn't have a way of recharging them. So that one's actually now flat, but had a little pressure switch on the side there, and a similar sort of brightness to what you just saw on our latest prototype. So that was what I was making last season. Those were some of the lures that Steve Campbell, good old famous Steve, based up in Tonga, he started running those lures for me and doing the trials on them. And it was actually those lures there that were catching a heap of marlin that got me inspired that this is actually worth keeping on going with this. So that statistic that we originally came up with in his first year, where on average he's trawling 5 lures, so you'd expect to get about 20% of the strikes on each. I know different boats, different positions on the boat work better than others, but on average across the whole season he got 41% of all his strikes on this lure with the light going in it. So that was kind of what gave us the inspiration to keep pushing on. And so from there I started working on developing rechargeable lures, and you can see we've got different, see if that one's going to go for you or not, different size, there we go, different size lure heads. And the real challenge was learning how to make them rechargeable, and getting the right batteries in there, finding a guy in New Zealand who could do all that work properly, not my really backyard dodgy soldering jobs, but he makes the circuit boards for me now and puts all that side of it together for me. And so we've actually developed something now that can be put into a whole lot of different sizes of lure head. There's been a lot of work actually in trying to get, I don't know how well you can see the finish on these. It looks okay, but you can see the way it's not reflecting light consistently, because the foil that we're putting in there gets bent when we're trying to put it around the electronics and then get them inside the mold. And so there's been a lot of experimentation on that, trying to get them, I know they work, but now I've got to make them look pretty. And actually I had a whole lot more examples here of prototypes, but they all kind of look pretty much the same now, because this last week I decided I was going to paint them all and experiment with painted colors. So rather than trying to get the foil looking nice inside the lure, because those are some of my best examples, there were plenty of disasters, I decided let's actually go with an automotive quality paint, and then we can actually dip them so that they've got this carbon fiber finish on them. I don't know how well you can see that, but that in my mind looks really quite nice. And then the decals obviously have got to go on from there. So there's a bit of an example of the colours that we're going to produce. I've just put the tails on them just so that we can get some comparison. Let's talk about the latest one. So here's the latest version, and yeah, I quite like that decal. I might work on it further yet, just to make it look pretty. You can see the Strobe name going on there, etc. So that's where we're up to now. That one's got the two little brass pins on the front. I'll see if I can wet my finger and make it work for you. So as soon as you get the wet contact across the two brass pins, that's what turns the light on. And when it dries out, just dry it out with my hand, it turns itself off. We're still doing more work on those brass pins. I don't like the fact that it can get a bit messy around there. The resin's not quite as smooth as I'd like. So watch this space. I'm off this week to go and talk to a factory that's going to mold these for me. And I've got a new version with little gold coated pins that come out lower down and don't stick out so far, but actually don't corrode and look like they're going to work better. So that's where we're up to with prototypes. We're very close to pushing play on actually manufacturing our first lures, and yeah, it's exciting times. I should say these are going to market regardless of whether this Kickstarter generates a lot of funds or not. There are other ways that I can get the funds, but I really like the Kickstarter community. I really like the fact that with the Kickstarter, you're attracting those people who are real innovators and really committed to actually making a new product, exploring a new product, and coming up with suggestions to make it work really well. That's what's worked well for us in the past. And so I'm really keen to get connected with you guys all around the world, get your feedback on how well these lures are working in your market, on anything that we can change on the future that we're working towards with them as well. So get in early, guys. There's good prices available to get in and back this thing before we even go into our first production mode. And I'm really looking forward to getting to know who you are and where you fish around the world and how these lures are working for you. A whole lot of stuff hasn't even been explored yet. We've done really well in our daytime fishing with them. We've only put in very limited time in the night fishing, but that's a whole area to explore as well. So I'm looking forward to your feedback. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching, and look forward to getting to know you. Cheers.